Hi everyone, and welcome to Module 3. This is the first module where we are actually diving into what economists would call macroeconomics. The first two modules are really an introduction to basic economics, scarcity, opportunity costs, and of course the supply and demand model, which you guys all know very well now. And so now we're going to go into macroeconomics, and don't forget that macroeconomics is really looking at the American economy from a 30,000-foot level, as opposed to even in the last module when you were talking about what this individual may purchase or not based on the price. Now we're talking about what all Americans purchase at all prices, right? So this week we have a great soft chalk here to start us off. We have an introduction to macroeconomic thinking. It goes on, and one of the main topics is going to be GDP. But we start off with this pretty interesting little presentation that I put together called the President's Economic Report Card. And we're going to look at, we're going to judge the president. We're going to judge actually both Obama and Trump on basically the goals of any economy from the president's perspective. And so I think you'll find that really interesting. And that comes in two parts because it's a pretty long lecture when we do it in class. But I think you'll find it fun. And then the main focus of the week is going to be GDP, something called gross domestic product. And it's going to have the definition. You're going to learn to analyze it using something called the GDP deflator, and you're going to be able to break it into categories so that you can tell what's in it and what's not, etc. So going down to the assignments this week, we have an Understanding GDP assignment. Pretty straightforward. After you go through the soft chalk, I think you'll be able to do this fairly easily. And then we have a problem set. And so problem set number one is really focused on GDP. So there's a couple of questions that you need to figure out. And then it asks you to read one of these two articles and basically analyze what it's telling you about GDP, right? Again, we have Newton and a little quiz at the end. So it's a pretty straightforward week. I know last week was really heavy. Don't forget that you have 2 weeks to do your Newton for supply and demand because I know that it was really heavy. And so this week you can see that I think that it's pretty light. Let's look. There's just 2. So that shouldn't take very much time. So this is a great week to sort of get back on your feet because I know that last week that supply and demand is so essential, and it's going to come back again and again. It's not going to come back in this module, but it will come back. So best of luck this week. Of course, text and email me with any questions.